Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly believed in your own words? When did you last look in the mirror and see the person you were meant to be? It's time we talk to ourselves like we know we are unstoppable. I want to share with you a simple yet powerful challenge. Talk to yourself like this with love, with strength, with confidence for just 3 days. What could happen in 72 hours if you change the way you speak to your own soul? We're going to break down those self-limiting beliefs. We're going to silence the doubts and amplify the truth. Because, my friends, the most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. So I ask you, are you ready to change your inner dialogue? For just 3 days, let's make it louder, bolder, and brighter, because the person you've been waiting for is you. We are constantly in conversation with ourselves. Every thought, every judgment, every feeling we experience is influenced by the way we speak to ourselves. Yet many of us don't realize how much power this inner dialogue has in shaping our reality. The words we choose to tell ourselves are not just fleeting thoughts. They form the foundation of our beliefs, attitudes, and actions. This is why changing your self-talk is one of the most transformative shifts you can make in your life. Imagine for a moment the way you would speak to a close friend who was struggling. You would speak with empathy, encouragement, and understanding. You wouldn't belittle them or focus on their flaws. You would remind them of their strengths, their worth, and their potential. Now consider the way you speak to yourself when you face challenges or self-doubt. How often do you use negative language? How frequently do you criticize yourself for not being good enough, strong enough, or smart enough? The difference between these two dialogues, how you speak to others versus how you speak to yourself, reveals a critical gap. The question is, why do we treat ourselves with less compassion than we do our loved ones? The truth is, the way we speak to ourselves directly impacts how we view ourselves and the world around us. If our self-talk is harsh, judgmental, or dismissive, we start to believe those messages. We begin to internalize the idea that we are not enough, that we can't achieve our goals, or that we are unworthy of love and success. This negative self-talk creates a cycle of self-doubt and fear, which holds us back from reaching our fullest potential. On the other hand, when we choose to speak to ourselves with love, respect, and belief in our potential, we are affirming our value and reinforcing our ability to grow and succeed. Speaking to yourself with kindness creates a positive feedback loop that builds confidence, resilience, and a sense of empowerment. Every time you tell yourself, I am capable, I am worthy, or I am deserving of success, you are planting the seeds of self-belief. These positive affirmations, repeated consistently, shape your mindset and behavior, eventually leading to a more positive outlook on life and greater achievements. One of the most significant ways to change your self-talk is to begin noticing when it becomes negative or self-critical. Often we are unaware of the toxic thoughts that run through our minds because they have become so automatic. We may think I'm not good enough or I'll never succeed without even realizing we are sabotaging our own progress. The first step in changing this pattern is awareness. Pay attention to the stories you tell yourself, especially in moments of stress or self-doubt. Are you lifting yourself up or tearing yourself down? This awareness is the first step toward change. Once you begin to notice the negative self-talk, you can start to replace those thoughts with more supportive and compassionate ones. Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, try telling yourself, I am doing my best and that is enough. Instead of thinking, I'll never make it, shift to, I may not have all the answers right now, but I am capable of figuring things out. These shifts may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to being hard on yourself, but with practice, they will become more natural. The more you reinforce positive, loving language, the more you'll begin to believe it. Belief in your potential is also key to changing your self-talk. Many people struggle with self-doubt because they don't believe they are capable of achieving their dreams. They focus on their limitations rather than their strengths. To change this mindset, you must focus on what you've already accomplished. Reflect on the obstacles you've overcome, the challenges you faced, and the progress you've made. Even small successes are worth acknowledging as they serve as reminders of your capabilities. When you can look back and recognize how far you've come, it becomes easier to believe in your ability to continue moving forward. Another essential aspect of changing your self-talk is the ability to forgive yourself. Many people are trapped in cycles of guilt or shame, constantly criticizing themselves for past mistakes or perceived failures. However, self-criticism is not productive. It keeps you stuck in the past and prevents you from moving forward. To speak to yourself with love and respect, you must embrace the concept of self-forgiveness. Understand that making mistakes is a natural part of life and personal growth. Instead of berating yourself for things you can't change, practice self-compassion. Acknowledge your mistakes, learn from them, and then let them go. This will free you from the weight of self-blame and create space for self-love. It's also important to remember that self-talk is not just about being positive, it's about being authentic. Speaking to yourself with love and respect doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about acknowledging your struggles and emotions while still recognizing your worth. When you face difficult situations, don't ignore your feelings. Allow yourself to experience frustration, sadness, or fear, but don't let these emotions define you. Instead, speak to yourself in a way that affirms your resilience. For example, you could say, I'm going through a tough time right now, but I am strong and capable of getting through this. Incorporating self-love into your daily routine also involves setting boundaries with the way you talk to yourself. Many people are quick to blame themselves for things that are outside of their control. For example, if a project doesn't go as planned or a relationship faces challenges, it's easy to fall into the trap of self-blame. Instead of adopting a mindset of guilt or self-reproach, practice self-compassion. Acknowledge your role in the situation, but don't assume all the blame. Remember, you are doing the best you can with the resources and knowledge you have at the time. And even when things don't go perfectly, it doesn't diminish your value. Over time, changing your self-talk will have profound effects on your mental and emotional well-being. When you consistently speak to yourself with love and respect, you begin to see yourself in a new light. Your self-esteem will improve and you'll feel more confident in your decisions. You will start to notice new opportunities and experiences because you will no longer be held back by self-doubt and negativity. Your potential, which was always there, will be unleashed as you start to believe in your ability to create the life you desire. When we think about change, we often focus on the big transformative moments, the dramatic shifts in our circumstances, the sudden epiphanies that lead to a new direction in life. While these moments are powerful, the reality is that lasting change doesn't always happen in one grand gesture. Instead, it's the small, consistent actions we take every day that build momentum and create lasting transformation. One of the most effective ways to bring about this change is through the consistency of positive dialogue with ourselves. Committing to a positive internal dialogue for just 3 days may seem like a small commitment, but the impact it can have is immense. This is because consistency is a key element in rewiring the way we think, feel, and behave. The brain is wired for habits, and when we repeatedly engage in positive thinking and affirmations, it becomes easier and more natural to think that way. The thoughts we have every day shape our beliefs and influence our actions. So committing to a positive self-talk for just a few days can create a shift that sets the stage for greater and more profound changes over time. One of the reasons why consistency is so powerful is because it works by forming new neural pathways in the brain. Every time you speak positively to yourself, you reinforce a message that is different from the negative or self-critical thoughts that may have dominated your mind in the past. At first, it might feel uncomfortable or even unnatural, especially if you've been accustomed to a more critical inner voice. However, by committing to this positive dialogue consistently, you begin to replace the old thought patterns with new, empowering ones. This process of mental reprogramming doesn't happen overnight, but with consistency, it can lead to a profound transformation in how you see yourself and the world around you. The power of consistency doesn't just lie in the act of repetition, it's in the gradual buildup of small successes. For example, let's say you commit to telling yourself, I am capable every morning for 3 days. On the first day, it might feel awkward. On the second day, it might start to feel a little more natural. By the third day, you may begin to notice a shift in your mindset. Even though the change is subtle at first, the repeated affirmation that you are capable begins to sink in. This consistency creates a ripple effect, gradually changing how you approach challenges, how you perceive your abilities, and how you respond to setbacks. The key to this process is to be patient with yourself. In our fast-paced world, we often expect quick results. We want to see immediate progress and tangible evidence that our efforts are paying off. However, true transformation requires time, and consistency is the bridge that helps us cross from where we are to where we want to be. When we commit to positive self-talk for a few days, we begin to build the foundation for lasting change. It's important to remember that this isn't about achieving perfection. This is about making small, consistent efforts that accumulate over time. Another reason why consistency is so powerful is that it builds self-discipline. Discipline is often viewed as something we apply externally by sticking to routines, meeting deadlines, or following through on commitments. However, self-discipline is equally important when it comes to the way we treat ourselves. By committing to a positive dialogue for 3 days, we are practicing the discipline of kindness, respect, and self-belief. Each time you choose to speak positively to yourself, you are exercising your ability to control your thoughts and emotions rather than letting negativity or self-doubt control you. This act of mental discipline helps to build resilience and confidence over time. One of the challenges we face when trying to make lasting change is the tendency to fall back into old habits. It's easy to slip into familiar patterns of negative thinking, especially when life gets tough or when we experience setbacks. However, consistency helps us break this cycle. The more we practice positive self-talk, the more it becomes our default response to challenges. When we encounter obstacles or doubts, our first instinct begins to shift from self-criticism to self-compassion and encouragement. This change doesn't happen in an instant, but through consistent effort, we start to reprogram our minds to respond to difficulties with strength and positivity. For those who struggle with self-doubt or negative self-talk, the idea of committing to positive dialogue for just 3 days can feel like a big leap. It's easy to think, what difference could 3 days make? But consider this, in just 3 days, you can start to experience the early stages of change. These 3 days are the first steps toward creating a new mental habit, one that focuses on your strengths rather than your shortcomings. The beauty of this commitment is that it's small enough to be attainable, yet powerful enough to lay the groundwork for deeper, long-term transformation. The key to making this commitment successful is to approach it with intention and focus. It's not enough to simply say positive things to yourself without truly believing them. For this positive dialogue to create lasting change, you must connect emotionally with the words you're saying. When you affirm that you are capable, don't just say it, feel it. When you remind yourself that you are worthy of success, let that truth resonate deep within you. The emotional connection is what makes these affirmations stick. And it's what makes them feel true, even on days when your self-doubt tries to creep in. As you commit to this positive self-talk for 3 days, you may notice changes in how you approach challenges. Perhaps you'll feel more confident in taking on tasks you would have previously avoided. Maybe you'll notice a shift in your energy as positive thoughts fuel your actions. This is the power of consistency at work. Over time, you'll start to see that the small effort you made each day has added up to something significant. Your mindset begins to shift and your belief in your abilities grows stronger. Consistency in positive dialogue also builds a sense of accountability. When you make a commitment to yourself to speak positively for 3 days, you're taking ownership of your thoughts and emotions. You're showing up for yourself in a way that encourages growth and self-love. Even on days when it feels difficult or when negative thoughts try to intrude, your commitment to consistency will keep you going. This accountability is a powerful motivator that helps you stay on track, especially when you might otherwise be tempted to give up or return to old habits. As you continue with your positive dialogue, you'll begin to see that consistency is not just a tool for self-talk, it's a tool for life. The more you practice positive thinking, the more you realize how much power you have over your own mindset. By committing to this small daily practice, you are building the mental muscle required to face life's challenges with resilience and strength. Consistency allows you to turn positive dialogue into a lifestyle, one that empowers you to take on anything that comes your way with confidence and determination. We live in a world where external validation often feels like a necessity. We seek approval from others in our personal relationships, at work, and even in social settings. The likes on our social media posts, the praise from colleagues, the compliments from friends and family, these are the moments we often live for, believing that they validate our worth. But here's the truth. True validation does not come from others. It starts with you. Owning your worth is a personal journey, one that requires you to stop seeking validation from external sources and begin recognizing and embracing your own value. It's easy to fall into the trap of relying on others for affirmation. From an early age, many of us are taught to seek approval from parents, teachers, and peers. As we grow older, this pattern often continues in the form of seeking validation in our careers, relationships, and achievements. We start to base our self-worth on the opinions of others, whether it's the praise we receive for a job well done or the love and admiration we think we need to feel important. We start to measure our success by how others perceive us rather than by how we feel about ourselves. This dependency on external validation can create a cycle of insecurity as we are constantly seeking something outside ourselves to confirm our worth. When we rely on external sources to define our value, we give away our power. The problem with seeking validation from others is that we are placing our sense of self-worth in the hands of people who may not always see us for who we truly are. People's opinions are subjective and can be influenced by their own biases, insecurities, and experiences. Just because someone praises you one day doesn't mean they will continue to do so tomorrow. If we place all our value in the hands of others, we are at their mercy, constantly waiting for the next compliment or gesture of approval to feel good about ourselves. This leaves us vulnerable to disappointment, rejection, and emotional instability. When you stop seeking validation from others, you begin to reclaim your power. You shift the focus from needing others to recognize your worth to recognizing it within yourself. Owning your worth means accepting that you are valuable regardless of what others think or say about you. It means understanding that your worth is not tied to your accomplishments, appearance, or the approval of others, but to your intrinsic qualities as a human being. You are worthy because you exist, and your value is not dependent on external measures. The first step in owning your worth is developing self-awareness. You need to understand who you are at your core, beyond the roles you play in life or the labels others place on you. Take the time to reflect on your strengths, your passions, and the qualities that make you unique. What are the things you love about yourself? What makes you feel alive and fulfilled? When you begin to focus on your own self-awareness, you start to realize that you have inherent value and that your worth is not something that can be given or taken away by anyone else. One of the most powerful tools in owning your worth is learning to love yourself. Self-love is not just about feeling good when you're at your best. It's about embracing every part of yourself, including the flaws, the mistakes, and the imperfections. When you love yourself, you accept that you are not perfect, but you are still worthy of love and respect. This is a radical shift in mindset because it means you stop waiting for others to validate your worth, and instead, you validate yourself. You begin to recognize that you are enough just as you are and that you don't need anyone's approval to feel good about yourself. Another key aspect of owning your worth is setting boundaries. When you start to value yourself, you no longer allow others to treat you in ways that don't align with your self-worth. Setting boundaries is a way of protecting your energy and maintaining respect for yourself. This can be challenging, especially if you have a tendency to please others or seek their approval. But when you set healthy boundaries, you are saying, I respect myself, and I will not tolerate behavior that diminishes my value. This can apply to your relationships, work environment, and personal life. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect and self-love, and it is essential to owning your worth. It's also important to stop comparing yourself to others. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with images of other people's success, beauty, and achievements, whether it's through social media or other forms of media. It's easy to fall into the trap of measuring your worth against someone else's life. But comparison is a thief of joy. When you compare yourself to others, you are focusing on what you don't have rather than appreciating what you do. Everyone's journey is different, and everyone's worth is unique. When you stop comparing yourself to others, you begin to see your own value more clearly. You start to recognize that your life, your experiences, and your path are just as important and meaningful as anyone else's. Owning your worth also involves letting go of the fear of rejection. When we seek validation from others, we often do so because we fear being rejected or judged. We are afraid that if we don't meet others' expectations, we won't be accepted or loved. But the truth is that rejection is a part of life. Not everyone will approve of you, and that's okay. Rejection does not define your worth. What defines your worth is how you see yourself and how you treat yourself. When you own your worth, you no longer let the fear of rejection control you. You embrace your authentic self, knowing that those who truly appreciate you will accept you for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. As you begin to own your worth, you'll notice a shift in your relationships with others. When you stop seeking validation from outside sources, you start to attract relationships that are built on mutual respect and understanding. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone because you already know your value. This can be a liberating experience as it allows you to engage with others in a more authentic and genuine way. You can connect with people without the pressure of needing their approval, and you can create deeper, more meaningful relationships based on mutual respect rather than on validation. Owning your worth also means letting go of perfectionism. Many people tie their worth to their achievements and performance, believing that they are only valuable when they meet certain standards. But perfection is an illusion. No one is perfect, and no achievement is ever truly perfect. When you let go of the need for perfection, you free yourself from the pressure to constantly prove your worth. You begin to embrace progress over perfection, and you learn to celebrate the small wins and accomplishments along the way. This shift in mindset is crucial to owning your worth because it allows you to accept yourself as a work in progress, and that is more than enough. The journey to owning your worth is ongoing, and it requires practice and patience. There will be days when you doubt yourself, and that's okay, but each time you affirm your values, set healthy boundaries, and practice self-love, you strengthen your sense of worth. You become less reliant on external validation and more attuned to your inner truth. When you stop seeking validation from others, you begin to live authentically and fully, knowing that your worth is not determined by anyone else, but by the way you choose to see and treat yourself.